Am I the jerk for blaming my partner after an accident I caused? My husband, who is 26 years old, and I, who am 21 years old, have been married for a little over a year. We have been together in total for 3 years. Today we had an argument. It was mainly petty. I made a stew, and it was too full to put on the pressure cooker mode on our pressure cooker, slow cooker, that he has had since he was 18 when he started university. So my husband decided it would be better to put it on the slow cooker mode. I offered to pour some out so we could get it down to the full line. However, he said no and that it would be fine. We put it on and left it for a little while. Then I heard a mass amount of sizzling, so I went to check it with him following behind. I quickly turned it off and took the pot out. However, the stew overflowed over the side and onto the plate that heats up the cooker. In the instructions, it advises never to let food or water onto said plate. This is when all chaos broke loose. He started screaming at me, telling me I am stupid and all other kinds of horrid words. I recently got fired from my job over something very trivial, and he started using that against me, telling me I am bad at everything and can never do anything right. He slammed the kitchen door really hard. I thought it would come off its hinges. He screamed at me so loud that my ears started ringing. After he finished shouting at me, I basically blamed him. I advised that I was sorry, but he told me this was the best idea to put it on for slow cook, instead of pouring a bit out to allow for us to use the mode we are comfortable with. I know I shouted back at him, which is not a good idea, but I was really mad. It took me an hour to make this stew ready for it to be left on cook, and I have taken over all the household chores since I have become unemployed. He treats me like a stupid child sometimes just because I want to make nice meals for him. Recently, I have started making bread and pasta. I'd never made this stew before, and I wanted to make it so we can freeze it and have it for after we go for long hikes. Am I the antagonist for ruining his pressure cooker and shouting back at him and blaming him? You are not the one to blame. He was being verbally abusive at a minimum, and slamming the door loudly put that threat on the table. His contempt for you is appalling and indefensible. It was his idea, and it ended poorly, yet he berated you. Make it clear that such responses are a bright red line he can never cross again. Am I the jerk for complaining about my neighbor's children? I will make this as short as I can. I, a 25-year-old female, live with my roommate Jenny, a 24-year-old female, and we moved to the bottom unit of a duplex home. When we moved in, there was nobody staying in the upstairs unit. About 5 months after we moved in, our landlord rented the upstairs unit to a couple with 3 children, a 9-year-old male, a 12-year-old female, and a 13-year-old male. My roommate and I work full-time and also go to school. Needless to say, we were already apprehensive about a family with young children living upstairs, but there was nothing we could do. We noticed rather quickly that the family is very closed off, and the only one who speaks to us is the mom, who is very nice for the most part. We thought it might not be so bad after all. Over time, the children started being children, of course, and have been running up and down the halls and screaming as they play for hours on end. Not only this, but we also have a shared backyard that they have completely overtaken with all their toys and balls scattered around the yard, never to be cleaned up. The last straw was when we went outside to see the backyard covered in baby things like cribs, play structures, and toys scattered around, covering the entire yard. To make matters worse, we saw they had placed a baby gate to cover our staircase leading to the yard. The mom explained this was to keep her children away from our unit. I was immediately upset because, to me, her children are old enough to understand not to come downstairs to our unit, as that is no longer part of the shared backyard. Then I found out all the baby stuff was things she bought to open a daycare and will be storing them there in the meantime. I will be honest. I do not mind children, but I will not sacrifice my own personal comfort for someone else's children. I do not want to constantly complain about the noise. I just want them to be mindful without me asking. Well, I reached out to my landlord who was trying to get me to be understanding of their situation as they are, nice and kind. To be honest, when I moved houses, the main thing I did not want was to deal with any children. I do not want to have to be understanding towards children I do not even want to be around. I just want to live my life like an adult. So I've been complaining about this to my landlord because the times I have asked the family to be quiet, they act shocked and do not know what noises we are talking about. Am I the antagonist for complaining? This goes beyond the typical noise you'd expect from living near kids. Shared spaces are meant to be just that, shared. The landlord should definitely step in, especially with the kids taking over the backyard and even gating it off. Recording the excessive noise and documenting the state of the yard could help make a strong case to the landlord, or even request a rent adjustment. Am I the jerk for agreeing with my friend's partner that he's a 7 out of 10 in terms of looks, at best? Parties involved: myself, a 32-year-old male, and Damien, a 33-year-old male. Context to argument: Damien has always struggled with women. He recently started dating his first girlfriend, a woman in her early 20s. Not even a couple of months in, they are already having problems. The latest issue arose when he asked her to rate his looks. Last Sunday, at a dinner with the friendship group, Damien ranted that she only rated him a 7. It infuriated him that he wasn't perfect in her eyes. He then went on to surmise that she is only with him for his money. For context, Damien is a lawyer. Though he works at a top-tier law firm in my country, He is a middling lawyer at best. His salary would not exceed $150,000 AUD. Having studied and worked with him in the past, I doubt he would ever amount to more. His salary is a decent earning, of course, but it is not target of gold diggers' money by a long shot. Fellow Australians will tell you that you would still struggle to get a house in a half-decent suburb on that salary. Frankly, rating his appearance a 7 is generous. I told Damien as much. Paraphrased, I said something to the effect of, a 7 is complimentary, mate. It means well above average. Take the compliment and just be happy. I also said, on your salary, you cannot even afford to have your girlfriend be a stay-at-home wife, let alone a gold digger. Relax. If your girlfriend wanted to gold dig, she would try her luck with someone who makes a lot more money. I was expecting a fight, but instead, Damien just went quiet and did not say a word for about 15 minutes before abruptly leaving the dinner early. Good riddance. Context to my relationship with Damien. That sounds harsh, and I admit that it is. But Damien is the type who unironically believes that facts don't care about your feelings. He is the kind of person who takes pride in being brutally honest. So I thought he could taste some of his own medicine. I will be honest, he is less of a mate and more of an associate I tolerate because he tags along with my friendship group. If it isn't already clear, I have a very low opinion of Damien. The turning point in our friendship was when, during my housewarming, Damien got into an argument with my mother over Australia's application of the Physician's Pledge, a watered-down version of the doctor's Hippocratic Oath. It escalated to Damien insulting my mother by saying, "You're just a cleaner. What would you know?" Yes, at that time my mother was a cleaner, but she was also a top medical student at one of Vietnam's most prestigious universities before the fallout from the Vietnam War forced her to immigrate to Australia. She was also training to become a Vietnamese translator, specializing in the medical field. She is also the smartest person I know, far smarter than me, and a hell of a lot smarter than Damien. I was already not a huge fan of Damien, but after that, I wrote him off completely. Am I the asshole? You did nothing wrong here. Damien is the type who unironically believes that facts don't care about your feelings. It's hilarious that he got infuriated over being rated a 7 by his girlfriend at a dinner with friends. Asking such a question was just setting himself up for disappointment. He's in danger of losing a good person because he's too far up his own arse to see it. Am I the jerk for stepping down as my sister's maid of honor after she tried to place the responsibility of her teenage daughter and future stepdaughter on me? My sister and her fiancé Mark have known each other for 5 years. At first, they knew each other as parents of children in the same class. They started dating 2 years ago and got engaged 6 months ago. My sister's daughter is Lily, who is 14 years old, and Mark's daughter is Gemma, who is also 14 years old. The girls were not fans of each other before my sister and Mark started dating. There was no bullying or serious bad blood, but they were not friends and did not want to be. Once my sister and Mark started dating, things changed. There was fighting at school, fighting when they met up to spend time together, fighting at home after they moved in together, and fighting at the engagement party and engagement dinner, which was just for family. My sister asked me to be her maid of honor, and I said yes. At the time, I was not aware my sister and Mark were forcing the girls to be bridesmaids. When I learned this, my sister told me one of my maid of honor duties was to manage the girls during wedding preparation and on the wedding day. She wanted me to ensure they were smiling for photos, to make sure they did not argue, and to make sure they did not ruin their dresses or anything out of spite at the wedding. I told her that was a big ask, and she told me it was the duty of a maid of honor to ensure things go perfectly. She said it would not be perfect if the girls looked angry in photos or started yelling at each other. She also said it would not be good if they refused to stand near each other. I told her that was an impossible task, given they fought all the time. She told me I could figure something out, and as the young, cool aunt, I could find a way. I tried once. We went dress shopping for the wedding dress, and the girls were fighting the whole time. Gemma told my sister she looked terrible in every dress, which made her and Lily's fighting worse. It was chaotic, and even when I somewhat got them separated, it was clear they were ready to fight more. So I stepped down as maid of honor and told my sister it was not a job I would do. She became angry and told me I needed to step up as her sister, asking who else would do it. I told her nobody in their right mind would, and just because I am her sister, it does not mean I am willing to be miserable for her. She accused me of trying to ruin her wedding and her happily ever after. Am I the antagonist? You are not the one at fault. Your sister is a little delusional, thinking you can wave your magic cool auntie wand and make these girls stop fighting. If ever a family needed therapy, it's your sister, Mark, and these girls. Honestly, she should stop the wedding planning and focus on getting everyone the help they need. Am I the jerk for telling my friend that they are too old for the church they attend and should find a different one? So I, a 27-year-old male, have been friends with this guy, a 33-year-old male, since I was a freshman in college. We attended church together back then, and I was an attendee and even an intern there for 5 years. I moved to a big city in a different state for nearly 4 years, but moved back recently this year. The church we attended is a college ministry. I use quotations because it is a church, so everyone is welcome, but it is very purposefully a college ministry. That's why it was founded, and that's what the staff is there for. Fostering faith in college students who want it, and serving and caring for the community they're in. My friend still attends there. He is welcome, of course, it is a church and they are wonderful folks. But some friends and I had encouraged him to find a new church before I moved to a different state in 2020. We encouraged him for his age because he was 29 at the time and single. The being single is a big thing because he is active and vocal about wanting marriage and a relationship, even today, 4 years later. He is 33 and wants a girlfriend, but the problem is that his dating pool is 18 to 22-year-olds. I decided not to attend this church anymore since moving back. Being 26 and a single man at that time, I truly feel there is no reason someone my age should be interacting with college students so much younger than me, unless it is literally their job. I was just looking for a church, so I went to one where I am on the young end, a big church that spans multiple generations. He is 5 years older than me and still is looking for a girlfriend amongst the students. He is a kind and sweet guy. I am confident that he would never hurt a fly, but it would be so easy for him to just be seen as creepy. I feel that the age difference alone between him and a college freshman makes their interactions creepy. I remember him telling me he would be fine with dating a girl that much younger than him before I moved. We are talking pre-COVID. I have had many chats with him about this over the last 5 years, like at least 4 separate conversations, but he loves it there and is still adamant he will marry someone from this church. So, am I the antagonist for telling my friend he is too old for the church he attends and he should find another? It's definitely creepy for a 33-year-old to be deliberately seeking a girlfriend in the 18-22 age range. Even if he's kind and sweet, his intentions raise serious concerns. No one that age focused on college is likely thinking about marrying anyone. He should consider attending a community where his age and intentions align better. Am I the jerk for refusing to clean up my severely autistic cousin's urine from all over the floor? Hey Reddit users, I want some feedback please. I am a 14-year-old male, and every year for my whole life, my brother, mother, and I take a trip to Poland for 2.5 weeks during the summer half term. We go to visit my mother's Polish side of the family, considering I am half Polish and half German. We tend to go to my grandparents for 1.5 weeks to 2 weeks, and for the remainder, we go to my aunt's house since she lives closer to the airport. This year was no different, and we have a couple of days left before going back to the UK. My aunt, who is a 43-year-old female, has 6 children, but only one is relevant, her youngest. Her youngest child, whom I will call Anthony, is severely autistic and has trouble doing anything and cannot control his emotions. He is constantly hitting animals, people, and taking stuff and throwing it around. I do not mind putting up with it considering it is only 1 week every year. He is 6 years old and still cannot speak, only making caveman-like noises. This is not an attack on him, and I understand he was born that way. I am not hating on him, but this is just to give you an idea of the next part. Anyway, back to the story. My brother and I are sleeping on the sofa bed, which I do not mind, but it is just around the corner from the bathroom. My aunt and mother were outside renovating, so it was only my brother, 2 cousins of close age, and me in the house. Anthony thought this would be a good time to go to the toilet on his own. Spoiler alert, he did not do well. He urinated all over the bathroom floor and then panicked, so he decided to run into the living room with his underwear down, still urinating everywhere. His first immediate thought was to grab my cousins and my attention by running over to the sofa, which was in bed mode considering it was 9 p.m. He stood over us, still urinating, and pointed to the floor. I jumped up and called for my mother and aunt, who rushed in. I was covered from the thighs down in urine. I rushed to the bathroom, not caring about the fact that urine was all over the floor, and hopped straight into the shower to wash myself. My plan was to just jump over the urine when I was done, considering the fact it was not a large bathroom, and I could definitely make the jump. My mother seconds later banged on the door as if she was the police after learning about what happened. She shouted at me, calling me selfish, and said I should mop the floor first and then go in the shower. I told her I was not a servant and that my aunt could clean up his mess. It was definitely not going to be me. Since then, my mother has given me the silent treatment other than to berate me, calling me selfish or telling me my possible punishments. At this point, I do not know. Was I the asshole? You have done nothing wrong. You were covered in piss and just wanted to take a shower. There were other people around, including adults and your cousins, who are probably the child's siblings. It's unreasonable to expect someone in that situation to clean up the mess while still covered in urine. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.